I have never, and I mean this, I really, really mean this, I've never had such an incredible emotional connection to a landscape than what I have right now. When I pulled off the A82, which is the main road that runs through the Scottish Highlands, parked up on the Three Sisters car park, if you ever want to come here, after a 7-hour drive up from Shropshire in central England, and turned off my ignition, looked through my windscreen at the Three Sisters, and just started crying. Just started crying my eyes out for about 20 or 30 seconds, just because I was so overwhelmed, I suppose, at the beauty of this place, the stunning, raw beauty of this place. And I think I'm the type of landscape photographer that often has these emotional connections with the landscapes, and I think that's a really good thing. However, I've never had one like this. Never, ever, ever. This place is absolutely phenomenal, and there's something deeper. I don't know what it is, I haven't figured it out yet, but it's not just because it looks good, it really isn't. Because I've travelled quite a lot for someone my age. I've driven all across Canada, east coast to the west coast. I've driven all around the United States, New Zealand, I've been to Australia, Asia, I've been all around Europe. I've been amongst some incredible landscapes, but nothing's got me like this. And it feels incredible, but at the same time it feels very overwhelming now. I may have mentioned in the past, my dad, who's probably watching this now, my dad's from Scotland, so I'm really proud of that side of my heritage, more so than my English side of my heritage, but that's a whole different story. Perhaps it's something to do with that. You know, I get these sort of emotions when I'm in the Lake District, because that's where I'm from. You know, I feel proud, and this is just unbelievable. And I can just feel a sort of raw passion burning up inside of me, pure inspiration. Nowhere has got me like this, nowhere. And I feel so lucky. You know, if we're talking about the United Kingdom, I feel so lucky to be able to call this place home. So much. So, wild camping, big bag. One night, potentially 2 nights if I want to. It's nice to have that option. And I'll talk a lot more about why I'm in this location later on in this video. But for now, I've just got here. Like I said, 7 hours. I wasn't actually going to start this video until tomorrow morning, after I'd set my tent up, and you know, today was just supposed to be the travelling day, but I just had to show you this. This is ridiculous. But yeah, for now I'm going to head up the valley a little bit, which I've planned. I've planned a little bit of a route, bit of a loose plan, and just find somewhere to pitch my tent up, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to get my camera out this evening. Just enjoy being amongst all of this insane beauty. Yeah, hope you guys will stick with me. As always, let's go and explore. Ridiculous. So welcome to my pitch for the night. Absolutely stunning. It really, really is. Just something else looking around me now. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world at this moment in time. It's just incredible. Feeling pretty high on life. What an amazing spot. And I wasn't going to do any landscape photography. I wasn't going to take any photographs, but I wanted to do one of the sort of classic wild camping shots, really. And you know, I sort of pitched up my tent and looked around me, and obviously I was just blown away by the views, and I thought, you know, why not try and capture that as a photograph? It's exactly what I'm doing here. So obviously got the tent set up. I've put my lantern on the inside just to give it a little bit of an illumination, and I'm trying two different things really. I've got my wide angle lens on. It's really simple what I'm doing, shooting at 11mm, and it's giving me a really sort of wide view. I'm getting, I think, correct me if I'm wrong if anyone knows, you'll see when you see the image, but in the top right of the frame I'm getting what I think is one of the three sisters. Then a huge prominent dome shape here is the middle one, I think, and then this one with the snow on here on the left is the third sister. So I think I'm getting all three in this image, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, it's beautiful nonetheless. So ISO 100, f10, and then 5-second exposure. So like I say, I'm getting a really wide field of view here at 11mm, so I think the one shot might be all right. But I am also doing a panoramic shot as well, and literally just leveled out my tripod left to right, 4 or 5 photographs all the way across, and then obviously when I get home I'll stitch them together in Photoshop or Lightroom, something like that, and see how it looks. But I think the one exposure, the one image by itself, so you know, not the panorama, will probably be all right. But yeah, really cool photograph, and that's obviously going to be my last bit of photography for the evening. And yeah, I'm going to cook myself some din-dins, something to eat. I'm starving now. It's beautiful up here. There's not really much wind, I think, because we're in a valley. It's all sort of toned down a little bit, which is obviously lovely. And yeah, hopefully I get a good night's sleep, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. So see you guys in the morning. So good morning from a very bleak and grey and rainy Scotland. It was forecast, so I've nothing to complain about. And I actually think once it brightens up a little bit, we're about 45 minutes to the sunrise at this stage. Yeah, once it brightens up a little bit, I think the conditions are going to be pretty nice. You know, quite moody. I'll be able to work with contrasts and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be fine. Decent sleep. Rule number 1 of a tent setup: make sure it's dead straight. I've had my tent on a tiny little bit of a left to right slant overnight, and it doesn't look much from the outside, but when you're in there it's just a nightmare. So you learn something new every time you come out. But yeah, I think I set the tent up thinking more about the photograph than I did about the comfort of me sleeping. So yeah, schoolboy error, never to be happening again. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is obviously pack my tent up, get myself packed up completely, and then head back down towards the valley. Probably have a coffee or something down there once I've found a bit of shelter, and then just start walking back down towards the car park. Obviously I'm not going back to the car just yet, but I just think down by the car park, that huge sort of marshy area where we crossed over the river, is gorgeous. I think there's more compositions to be had down there, especially shooting back towards the Three Sisters. So that's what I'm going to do for now. Chat to you guys in a bit. Oh wow, so we've got some very Scottish conditions here this morning. Very difficult to work with, you know. Gear's getting wet, everything's soaked, I'm soaked, but you know what, I wouldn't have it any other way. This is how I envisaged it to be up here in the Scottish Highlands. This is typical weather up here. It's beautiful for photography, it really is. It's dramatic, it's moody, there's so much beautiful atmosphere in the air, and it's perfect. It's worth the whole compromise of everything getting wet, 100%. So I've stopped here now, and I'm not even down at the valley yet, but as I've come over the brow of this hill here, I've just sort of stumbled upon this incredible scene here where you've got this sheer cliff face here, you know, the side of the mountain. Obviously we've had a lot of rainfall overnight, and we've got these, how many's here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 7, 8 plus waterfalls, you know, cascading, making their way down the side of this cliff, right into the river down here that's obviously making its way down the valley, and it's just beautiful. This reminds me a lot of a place in New Zealand that I went to called Earnslow Burn, which I actually did a video in that location. I'll stick a link up here in the corner and maybe in the description below. One of my very first videos, but yeah, that was a sort of a huge valley, a sort of horseshoe shaped valley. and it had all these waterfalls falling down. Well, that was from a glacier. That was absolutely incredible. Yeah, it really reminds me of that here. But definitely worth getting the camera out for. And I'm loving the way this looks on the back of my camera. And there's 2 or 3 things that I really want to mention here before I get into settings or anything like that. Firstly, we've got lines. We've obviously got the beautiful vertical lines of them waterfalls coming down that cliff face there. But then something I didn't actually notice until after I took the photograph and I started looking at my composition, you know, see whether or not I needed to tweak it. We've got these horizontal lines that are going across the cliff face. We've got this beautiful sort of bronzy yellow colour making its way across, which is contrasted with that sheer black rock on the cliff. It's just amazing. You've got 4 or 5 of these stripes making their way down, and I think that works really well in contrast with the waterfall. And then of course we've got the river as well, which is working as a leading line, a bit of a visual guide for the eye to make its way up the cliff face, and then hopefully up to them beautiful snowy mountains there in the background, which is amazing, and they're going to be in the sort of centre of my frame. And then as well, I've got a few of these cliffs on the right hand side as well. Quite a lot of negative space on this right hand side, but I've done it deliberately for 2 reasons. Firstly, just to balance out the image, because there's a lot going on the left hand side, and secondly, just to show that we're in a valley and you can see this river cutting through the valley. It's just immense. I'm really, really happy with this photograph. So my settings, ISO 100, f10, and I'm on my 11-16 lens, but I'm shooting at about 12mm. I'm zoomed in slightly just to sort of almost crop the composition a little bit. I don't want too much around the outsides if I don't need it to be there. Shutter speed is 1 second, simple as that. So I'm going to grab this image now, 2-second timer. Stunning, absolutely gorgeous. I'll show you that one now, and I'm going to go down to that river and get me coffee.
You and I, we met a Tuesday morning, sun high in the sky, and I felt free. You did your best and I ignored the warnings. Fair enough, I guess I didn't wanna see. I wanted an adventure, I wanted something new. I gave you half my heart, figure.
Wow, so we are down from the valley, and this is the scene behind me. We've got 2 of the 3 sisters there. This is what I was talking about. These are the 2 peaks that I want to photograph. And then we've got the beautiful River Coe down here. We're in the Glencoe Pass here at the minute. Absolutely gorgeous. So not too sure what I'm going to do with in terms of photography. Also not sure if there's going to be enough water for me to make my coffee. I'll deal with that in a bit. I'm thinking panoramic here. I'm not too sure. The only thing that I don't like here is the river obviously is leading this way. It's parallel to these 2 peaks. It's leading down this way and sort of away from the mountains, which is obviously going to be the main focal point. They're the 2 main subjects. So I think what I'd like to do, if I can, is head back down this way, downstream, down the river, or upstream, and kind of, obviously we're talking perspective here, but bring these 2 peaks closer together, and hopefully I can find something that's going to work a little bit better down there in terms of foreground or a leading line or something. But yeah, I'm probably going to have my coffee here now, maybe something to eat, and just see where we're at from there in terms of landscape photography. Oh wow, so this is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm still in the same area, same position as when I last spoke to you. I've decided against going back upstream and seeing if I can find any sort of better foreground up there. I think sometimes I obsess over leading lines a little bit too much, and what I've decided to do is, like I think I mentioned, a panorama shot, and this is coming out gorgeous on the back of my camera. The only thing I'm worried about is if Lightroom or Photoshop is going to stitch it together properly. but I'm going to try and do as much now as possible to give myself the best chance when I get home and get it up on my laptop. I've got my, probably better to have like a shower cap or a bag, you know, something waterproof, but I don't know. Not very practical. So yeah, really simple to be honest. I always say that, don't I? Really simple. I've leveled out my tripod, first things first, really important, and then I've used the electronic level on my camera, obviously shooting in portrait dimension, just to make sure everything is going to be completely level. And then I've got it just so I can rotate it on the tripod like that, make it as easy for myself as possible. And then all I'm doing is left to right, getting more on the left and right hand side than I probably need, just as a bit of an insurance policy for when I get home and get it up on Lightroom. But yeah, about 5 or 6 shots all the way across, 2-second timer, ISO 100, f10, 1/20th of a second all the way. Every single image is going to be the same settings. And yeah, just keep everything as still as possible. There's times when I have to stop, quickly wipe my lens. And hopefully this one's going to come out nice. Like I say, the only thing that worries me is whether or not it's going to be stitched together properly in Photoshop. Well, that's something that always worries me, I think. I'm sure it'll be fine. If not, I can always drive back up here. It's only 7 hours, isn't it? So yeah, beautiful scene, gorgeous foreground, and this way it means, you know, we don't really have to worry about leading lines too much. We've got this river here as a foreground. Then we've got all this beautiful marshy and craggy land as the midground, and of course we've got the three sisters, all three of them, not just these two peaks. Fingers crossed, all going well with that. That should be a cracking image. Beautifully atmospheric and moody here in Scotland in the Highlands. Cracking image. If I like it, I may use this on my calendar for my February shot, which is something that I want to talk about. So I'll show you this shot now. Then I'm going to go back up to my car. I haven't eaten yet. I'm going to go back up to my car, and I just wanted to talk quickly about this calendar thing that I mentioned last year, if you don't mind. So yeah, I really hope you like this image, guys. I hope it comes out all right. So back to the car, and what an epic adventure that was. It always feels nice to get back to the car though after a little wild camp adventure like that. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that panel came out alright. I always find it funny how you guys have just seen the panel, but I'm yet to even see it up on my computer screen. But yeah, fingers crossed that came out alright. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole calendar thing, that if you're watching me for the first time, or if you didn't see last week's video, I'll put a link to it up in the corner. And basically in that video I mentioned that I want to spend 2019 trying to get 12 images to use as a calendar, to make my very own first landscape photography calendar. Now also in last week's video I mentioned that I wanted my February and probably my March images to have snow in them. Now I was going to go to North Wales because there's quite a lot of snow, but over the past week it's been very mild here in the UK for winter. In Shropshire I think it got up to like 13 or 14 degrees, which was just mental. So all that snow had gone in North Wales, bar a tiny little bit I think. So then I thought, right, I'll have to go to Scotland then, and started looking on Instagram and all sorts, webcams, trying to see if there was snow, and I just couldn't really figure out if there was definitely snow up here. Anyway, I decided I'll still go up. Worst case is no snow, and I'm still in the Highlands of Scotland with my camera to do some photography. Bit of a win-win, but I don't know, basically I've just spent this whole week fretting and flapping really, way too over the top for my liking, about thinking, oh, I need to get snow for my February image. Now, I want to put this question to you guys. I'd love to hear from you. Please comment below with answers to this. Do you think a landscape photography calendar has to have those quintessentially seasonal images? So for example, December, January, February, maybe March, you expect there to be snow or ice or frost, do you know what I mean? Spring, you expect flowers, a lot of vibrance, and then of course summer and autumn just speak for themselves. do you think it'd be a failure if we went throughout the whole year? See, here's the thing. My images are still going to be taken in February. If I use that panel for my February image, you know, I've still taken the image in February, do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'd really like to hear your opinion on that sort of thing. Maybe it's just something that's become convention, but I don't know. I'm overthinking it a bit, probably. But anyway, please let me know. Love to hear from you guys. Anyway, I'm babbling on a bit now, and this has been an absolutely epic adventure. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. I really appreciate the support. Again, wonderful adventure, epic scenery. I will definitely be returning to this place. Jesus, this place is just otherworldly. Amazing. So yeah, thanks again. I'll see you next week on the next adventure. Out.